Hey guys, it's Sahur. Welcome back to my channel. So like every other time where I have just mysteriously disappeared from YouTube for a good couple of weeks, I should probably tell you what's been going on and how I've had exams and how I've been, studying, but you don't really care. You're just here for this palette because you want to see how it compares to this palette. I can do that for you, so let's get into it. This video is probably going to be very long and it does have like different sections, so I have kind of like a talk through, review, and demo of me using the products at this time. So I'm doing my makeup using the products and I'm talking about it here. And then I also have swatches of both palettes side by side at this time, so skip to those. Okay, a little bit of backstory. Huda Beauty launched this palette in the fall of 2016, and back then I made a video using it. Wow! I did 4 looks, one after the other, in one night, and it was very, very tiring. And then 1 year after this palette, which is the original Huda Beauty Textured Rose Gold palette, was launched, Huda launched another palette, which was the Desert Dust palette, which I also made a video on. When that palette was launched, she said that this palette was going to be discontinued, and I was pretty bummed about that. I did speak about it briefly in my video about the Desert Dust palette because I did love this palette so much. And last week, she announced that they're actually bringing the Rose Gold palette back, but this is the remastered version. I was pretty happy when I found out that this palette was coming back because, one, I love it. It's one of my favorite palettes ever. I even used it on Naomi when I did her wedding makeup. And it also made my life a lot easier because I get a lot of questions from you guys asking me what my kind of favorite all-in-one palette is, and it was this one. So when it got discontinued, I couldn't keep suggesting you guys to buy a discontinued palette, and then they came out with this, and well, so over the course of the video I'm going to help you answer the question, which is, do you really need this remastered version, especially if you already have the original? So I'm going to get right into the tutorial and I'll just kind of talk you through the differences, okay? Right off the bat, I do notice that the remastered version does not have a color that's similar to the color Bay, which was the matte beige in the original palette. I love that color because it was such a great color for me to set my concealer and just as a base for eyeshadow, and then I would work on top of it. For the sake of continuity, I use this exact same colors on both my eyes from different palettes. From the remastered version, I picked up a little bit of sandalwood and I worked it in my crease, and it gave really good payoff. And then I picked some more up on the other eye, and I was surprised by the difference. I really didn't think that the remastered version would really offer that much more color payoff because I was already pretty impressed with the original. But then when I saw them both side by side, I was like, whoa, that's not great. The remastered one really did go a lot farther. I had to dip back into the color to build up sandalwood on my left eye, and even then it wasn't, as bright and bold as it was on the first eye. Then I went in with the color Henna, and then I went in with the color Cocoa. I feel like all the colors from the original palette were less pigmented, but then as I started layering them, the end result was pretty much the same because I just added like more product as I felt necessary. Another difference that I really noted was that the black truffle eyeshadow in the remastered palette is so much more pigmented than the original one, and this can be good or bad. Now, I already love the original black truffle eyeshadow from the original palette because it was intensely pigmented and it was easy to blend, and I feel like the black truffle in the newer remastered palette is really on the line. It's very black. It's not as easy to blend, but it gives so much more intensity. So you just have to work with it a little bit longer, but it gives like a darker look. That being said, a lot of the colors in both palettes are in similar positions, but some of them have also been moved around. The textured eyeshadows were kind of like the edge of the palette, and they were kind of what was like really cool about them when the original palette launched. So the positions of the individual colors have been moved, and I can see that the formula has been changed as well. The formula of the original ones was more wet, more foiled. You couldn't really use it with anything other than your fingers, and if you applied like a thick layer, you could see the clumps on your eyelid, whereas on the newer palette that's different. It's thinner, you can apply it with whatever you like. I do have swatches of all the colors side by side at the end of the video, so you can just watch that. Packaging wise, this one does feel a lot sturdier. It feels a lot nicer. It feels pretty much exactly like the Desert Dust palette that came out a couple months ago. Has a really nice mirror in it. This one is kind of just like see-through. It's very light and it doesn't feel like sturdy enough. This one definitely feels like a very sturdy, good palette. I personally was never bothered by the fact that this was like light and just you could like do whatever to it. But I know a lot of people thought that was a big factor because they spent $65 US on this palette and they kind of wanted something that felt like more in their hands, I guess. There are also some new shades such as Bubbly and Pink Diamond that have replaced Angelic and Bay in the palette, and then colors like Risque and Dollface in the remastered palette are very similar, but still kind of different to colors in the original palette, such as Bossy and Flamingo. The original color in the palette, Shy, has been replaced by this color called Demure, which is very, very similar. Okay, yeah, you know what? That's enough talking. Let's get into the swatches.
Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.
Okay, so final verdict time. I really enjoyed the first palette. I loved it. You know, I used it so much. I mean, look at mine. Mine is in an awful condition. Personally, for me, the upgrade to the remastered palette would be worth it because it has everything that I liked in the original palette, but more. And if you're someone who does a lot of makeup, especially on other people, I feel like the added benefits will be, you know, good for you. If you love neutrals, if you love warm tones, you'll like the palette. If you like doing eye makeup, you'll like the palette.
I personally like this palette and the original because it had such a nice array of darker colors, a really nice deep black that can kind of give definition to any eye on any skin color, which is super, super important. The colors work for everybody because they come from such a like big range. And then there's some really nice shimmers and metallic finishes, and it's like you can really use this palette on anyone with kind of any skin tone and it will show up on their skin. You can do beautiful eye makeup on anyone, which is great. It's super consumer friendly. Makeup artist's dream because you have all these, you know, like beautiful colors that you can put on the lid for brides. So in my experience, I find that the new Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette offers everything that the original one did, but it also offers more. So it is, I don't think that it is inferior to the original palette, obviously not, it's called Remastered. And getting the newer palette might be worth your while if you really enjoyed the first palette and you just, you know, want something better. My issue with the first palette was I found out too late that it was getting discontinued and I didn't have time to buy a backup, so when this palette was going to die, that would, you know, be the end. But luckily, before that palette died, this one came out, so now I have kind of like a backup. I feel pretty good about myself, honestly. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Check me out on all my other social media, and don't forget to leave me a comment down below letting me know what type of video you'd like to see from me next. Thank you so much, and I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, bye.